Working with Stuart Whitman.
Oh, Stuart Whitman was great. Yeah, he played my father, and he was such a great character. He worked a lot. He did a lot of westerns. Some of you know who he was. He was awesome. Stuart was really great to work with. He's just old school, you know. And as a father, I mean, that was perfect casting. He was really great.
Who has more questions for John? We'll make it our way through. Andy, what's your question?
My question for you, John, is going from Superboy to Cody on the Christmas card, which my wife loves your movie. How did that happen?
Superboy to Cody on the Christmas card. Well, you know, thank you very much. 5 of you saw that. Great. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so I had a lead in a Christmas card. It's called The Christmas Card, a Hallmark TV movie. It was their highest rated programming that they ever did, up until a few years ago, I believe. And I really enjoyed that. It was an honor to play a serviceman who, you know, came back from Afghanistan and all that. It was a very powerful. I got to go to the Pentagon. That was fun. And we were supposed to go to the White House. And Ed Asner has strong political affiliations as far as his outward speaking. So George Bush at the time nixed that. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. But anyway, we didn't go. We went to the Pentagon. That was cool. But I did a lot of other jobs. You know, I was on Melrose Place for 26 episodes, and I did the Untouchables in Chicago. I played one of the main Treasury agents for 42 episodes, and a lot of other things. It was a long journey, yeah, from that to that. I left the business about 8 years ago. Should I talk faster? Make your job harder. She's sweating. It's like 60 degrees, she's sweating. But yeah, so I left acting about 6, 7 years ago, and I do what I really love, which is I feel like my true calling. If anybody's interested, I'm happy to talk about that. But
Help beyond belief.
yes, I help people with chronic pain, stress, and addiction get their life back. So thank you. I absolutely love it. I get to work in hospitals. I worked at the Betty Ford Center for 1.5 years in the pain management program, and we had 90+% success rate when I was there. People leaving without any pain, like pretty wild. I'm happy to give a demonstration if anybody wants. A little scary, right?
John, this is Daniel. Daniel, what's your question?
What is your favorite part of being Superboy?
My favorite part was not the money. No, I'm kidding. My favorite part, you know, it was such a responsibility, and I felt like, if you look at the whole history of Superman and Jerry Schuster and Joe Siegel, did I say that right? I always say it backwards. I have dyslexia, and Joe Schuster and Jerry Siegel. I always say it backwards. I just feel like it's such an important part of our history, and what Superman's really about to me is that we all have within us this being that can rise above the status quo, that can show up fully. And if you look at what Superman is, he's basically a police officer in a way. I mean, you know, serve and protect. Everything that's good about law enforcement, he represents. And I feel like we all have that. You know, how to learn to be more about service to the community, because I think we've lost that as a culture and a country sometimes, and I feel like Superman represents that, everything that's good about us. And I think that's also why we love it. We love the character because it's primary colors, right? Red and blue and yellow, and that reminds us of the basics. And the basics are, to me, doing things that feel good in your heart and showing up, and you know, he's an alien, right? Superman's an alien. And
The ultimate orphan.
we're all aliens, right? None of us, I mean, we come here, we have an Earth experience, and then who knows what happens. But the point is to me, he represents, and why I took it seriously, took it to heart, is that it's what we can really be as humans, our potential. And it's an inspirational character for me. I think that, just really to walk in those footsteps and play a tiny piece of the puzzle in the big picture of Superman was an honor. So Thank you.
Well, you had the opportunity to play Superman again, really, of sorts, in a fan favorite called Superman and Bizarro Classic with Rob Pratt.
Yes.
Has anybody seen those two animated shorts that Rob Pratt produced? Did you know that Superman was John Newton, and I believe your wife was Lois Lane?
She played Lois. I did the Superman Clark Kent voice. They're very, very short, but he did the old school, you know, he drew every frame. And Rob is a great animator. He's been working with Disney for probably 25 years, but he's a huge Superman fan.
Yeah, be sure to look those up. I believe they're still on YouTube.
Yeah, they're on YouTube, and they're really done well. It's a lot of homage to the Deco period and all that.
Absolutely. They remind me of the Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah, exactly.
You just mentioned Disney a minute ago, which made me think. You think about a lot of shows that are filmed. You have a lot of shows that are filmed in Canada now, but many filmed in Hollywood. What was it like actually filming in Orlando? Because you have a destination there that is it's a vacation destination. You're filming a show. Was it Disney MGM Studios at the time that was kind of there for sets and things like that?
It was. We were the first production to be there at the new studios that had formed at Disney, and that was interesting. A year later, Universal opened up their studios, and you know now they still do the tours and all that there, right? Do they actually have productions that are active there?
They do. They do Family Feud there. They do a whole lot of wrestling there.
Yeah. So it was just starting out. So it was a lot of green talent as far as the below line stuff like crew and all that. So we were kind of forging our way, and Florida it's probably still a right to work state. So they did a lot of non-union stuff. I'm not saying either way if that's good or bad, but a lot of people had opportunity to break into the business, and we forged our way. The first season was really the first 13. When I say the first season, the first 13 episodes were really finding our way. And they started putting more money into the show, a little bit more at the second 13, and then after I left, I'm sure they put even more in. But we were really defining characters. Something really simple. Like, you think there's 50 extras in a scene, right? And so I'd fly into a scene and land, and then have dialogue with, you know, TJ White or whatever, Tim Calvert, or Stacy as Lana. And then, you know, I'd fly off, right? Not one extra would react to... Can you imagine, like right now, if someone flew into the right there, and you'd be like, oh my God, this person just flew it. None of the extras would react. So I'd be like, I go to the director, I say, you know, I'm thinking, what makes Superman powerful or Superboy powerful is how people treat him or how you react to him, or you know, it's part of the character. So they go, yeah, that's right. So then you'll notice after about the third or fourth episode, people start reacting to someone flying into frame, right? And it seems so obvious, right? But you don't think about it until you think about it. It's like the first roll cage. Anybody ever watch car racing? Ever? Right, only 3 of you. Oh, this is great. You guys don't get out much.
No matter what you ask, it's 3 people.
But the point is...
It's the same 3.
But the point I'm making is, you figure, like, you know what a roll bar is? They never put a roll bar on a race car until like 1953 or whatever it was. No one thought about it. And everybody died. The car rolls over, the person died. But then once they started putting a roll bar, now you think, how could they not have always done that? So it's kind of like the show. We were discovering, you know, how to make it better and improve, and the characters and the relationships, and we kind of got legs around the second 13. I feel like the show started to get a lot better.
You think about an actor like Jackie Cooper, who played the great Perry White in all 4 Superman films with Christopher Reeve, and then Jackie Cooper steps onto the set as your director one day.
Yeah, it was great to be directed by Jackie Cooper, and he's such an old school, real classic director, and but also really, he's like classic Hollywood, and it was great to have him on the set, because I mean, like you said, he was going way back, and then of course he was in the Superman films, and great actor, and a lot of fun to work with as far as directors. We had a lot of great directors. We had this classic director, Reza Badi'i. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He directed one person knows who Reza is. Reza directed the tidal wave sequence on Hawaii Five-0, as well as hundreds of episodes from 60s through the 80s. But he's really famous for his temper. He threw an entire moviola out a 3rd-story editing window. He was so mad at the editor as a director, he threw the whole like 300-pound moviola out the window. So anyway, he got mad at me one time.
Favorite episodes? Any particular episode jump out at you?
I really like the Alien, Revenge of the Alien Part 1 and 2. Did two people see that?
Right. Actually,
Oh, wow, thank you.
did anybody go to that viewing last night? That was actually a two-parter made into a single hour-long show. So.
Yeah, and I like those episodes because they represented a shift on the show where we were really. I just felt the quality all around just started to come up from there. There was a couple episodes on the very first 13 that they didn't even want to air, and we had to put them at the end. One was the homeless, or no, the bird woman of the swamps. Do you guys remember that one?
Yes.
Painful. Remember the turtle shell on a stick, and they're like, you know.
Do we have more questions from the audience? Let's go. Yes. We work over here. Go ahead, sit up. What's your name? Patrick, go ahead.
John, what was the most difficult scene you ever filmed on Superboy?
On Superboy?
Yeah.
The most difficult scene ever filmed. How do you even answer that?
Beyond the one where they dropped you.
Right, yeah.
Right. There's one scene where I had a really horrible wig on and sunglasses and a 100-pound python around my neck, and I had, oh, thank you very much, I saw that. And I had to do a wheelie down a corridor through double doors and stop, and the camera was right there. And I couldn't see through the doors because they're closed. So I'm on my own motorcycle doing the best I could. It was more of a power wheelie. I didn't come fully up. And come through the doors and stop, and the camera's right there with a snake around my neck. Thank you very much. No, that was probably one of the most difficult things. I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting about.
You mentioned last night about having a favorite Superboy comic book at one time, way before you were cast as Superboy. Did I hear that right?
I did. I was obsessed with this comic, a Superboy comic that my grandmother, grandfather had in a whole basket of comics. But when I was a little kid, I used to love this Superboy comic, and it was Superboy flying into the ring and punching the boxer. Did you guys ever see that? You remember that one? Anyway. But there's like there's two boxers in the ring, and I guess one boxer's hitting below the belt. So Superboy's flying in with his cape and this full like extension, and he knocks out the boxer who's like the bad guy. And that's on the cover, so I always thought that was very cool. Another interesting thing too is there's a book called Alive. Did you guys ever hear that about the rugby team that crashed in the Andes and they had to eat the people that died in the crash? It was a famous story. When I was a kid, maybe about 12 or 13, I carried that book with me everywhere. I was obsessed with the story, and I read the whole thing. It was one of the few books I ever read. Long story short, I ended up doing the film and played one of the survivors in that crash for Paramount Disney. So that was another synchronicity.
Wow. Where did you film Alive, by the way, the snow scenes?
We filmed in Vancouver for almost a month, and then we filmed in the range there near Calgary, which is about maybe 10 hours away, so in the middle of Canada.
Superman?
Hey, John. I know you said you're not involved in the industry anymore, but how long have you been doing Superman conventions, and do you have any favorite moments from one of the conventions that you've done?
I think this is the only one I've ever done is this one. And it was 24 years ago. It was the only other time I did it, I think. I mean, unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah. He was here. I did a Comic-Con one time. I don't do a lot of these things. I love to see you guys. I just don't end up doing it. I'm kind of really busy with what I do with my work. I travel all over the world, and I teach and train doctors and therapists, and the techniques that I use. I'll be in Norway in 3 days. So I'm always traveling, so it's hard to schedule it in. Maybe that's it.
Well, when you come to an event like this, I mean, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, though, you're pretty overwhelmed with the fact that you really, people, you sometimes when you get on with your life and you're doing other things, you forget that you have a fan base. People enjoyed this character, they enjoyed your portrayal of the character, and it's great to come out here and meet them.
I love that part of it. I was really touched. I mean, all the people that waited in line and wanted to just say hi and, you know, get a photo or whatever, support the charity. I'm really touched. I love your commitment to the character. There's also a part of me that knows it's not me. Like, it's whoever wears the suit, let's be honest. It's like we look up to the suit. It's really the character and not as much who plays the character. So I take it with a grain of salt. Like people say, oh, you know, I love Superman and I love Superboy, and at the same time, it feels like it's not me. I don't know if that makes sense. It's almost surreal. Like people go, oh, will you sign this? And I'm like, well, sure. But it doesn't go to my head. I don't think, oh, I'm so great, you know.
More questions from the audience?
Christopher Reeve described it as being a custodian of the character.
I would agree with that, and I can't imagine what Chris Reeve went through. Can you imagine? Like, he couldn't go anywhere. I mean, just something as simple as, you know, going to the store, like, he couldn't do that. I'm just glad the rain's letting up.
What's your name?
Anthony.
All right, Anthony, what do you want to say?
I just want to say, first of all, that my wife loves The Christmas Card. We own it. She loves that movie.
Oh, thank you.
But when I was growing up, I had the Super Friends, and then the next introduction to Superman was your show.
Oh, cool.
So I'm actually here because of your show. I often credit Superboy for the reason why I love Superman.
Wow.
I just want to say thank you for the
Wow,
show.
thank you. That's awesome. That's great.
Hey John. Bounce off what Superman asked you. I know you've been away from business law and everything, but would you ever go on the Cape and Sites again for like a one-off episode or something?
I can't. It's so loud, the rain. I can't hear you. Sorry.
We can't hear you.
Would you do a one-off episode or something down the Cape and Sites one more time?
Would you ever put the suit on again?
That's what I thought he said. The answer is no. Yes. Yes, I'd really like to do that. No. You know, George Reed wouldn't appear in costume. I'm sure you guys know the reason, right? The little kid showed up with a gun and said, oh, I'm going to show everybody how the bullets bounce off of you. And that's why he wouldn't appear in costume. That's not the reason I wouldn't do it. But, and so he talked the kid out of it. He said, yes, whatever the kid's name was, because the bullets could bounce off and hit someone else and hurt them. So the kid put the gun down. But it was a tense moment, apparently. You guys knew about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he also used to tell people, please, only Superman can fly, so please don't jump off the roof of your house. He felt very compelled to emphasize that with kids.
You know, most recently, the great Sarah Douglas, who played Ursa in Superman 2, was here last year, and Sarah did an episode of Supergirl. There are a lot of great DC shows right now. You know, we joke about putting the suit on, but I mean, when you have shows like Krypton and shows like The Flash and just superhero shows in general, they wanted you to do it. Would you do it? Of course you would, right? Maybe?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm telling you. No, of course you want to. I would.
First, my daughter would say, are you making me?
He put it the way I wanted to say it. He explained it right.
Right. I mean, there's just a lot. I think fans say there's a lot of great shows right now, and it's fun to bring some of our favorites from the past back into these shows.
Yeah. I had a lot of people say they were surprised Smallville didn't ask me to come back on, because they had a lot of the cast from the different shows, but yeah, I think I kind of got out of the industry, and then the show ended. So.
Who's next? More questions? Yes, come on up. I'll walk over to you.
I can't walk over there, I'll fall down, so.
Hey, how did tell about when you did the short, the cartoon short, and you did the voice of Superman? How did you end up doing that?
I met Rob Pratt, who's the guy, animator for Disney. He's directing a lot now. Who's a huge Superman fan. He actually recognized me at a Halloween event like 8, 10 years ago. So we became friends. And he actually mentioned, he says, hey, you know, I have this project I want to do. Would you do the voice? And I was like, yeah, of course. Because Rob likes to get people who were associated with the original projects. He did Flash Gordon, and which I did the voice for Ming. Ming the Merciless. But that was probably 2 years ago or last year, can't remember. But anyway, so we became friends, and yeah, I talked to him a lot. So.
Has he talked to you about doing any more Superman episodes at all? I believe
he talked about something. Actually, there's something going on which I've sworn to secrecy. So let's just say there might be something really big coming along for him.
Great, glad to hear it. How about some more questions from the audience? I think we have one right there, Jay.
I feel like Phil Donahue. I'm very excited.
You are.
Running through the crowd. Hi, what's your name?
Amber.
Right, Amber, what's your question?
Were you ever able to ad-lib any of your lines or make changes to the script while filming?
That's a great question. She asked if are we allowed to, or did I?
Did you?
Did you? Oh. It depends on the production. As actors, it goes like this. If you're Tom Cruise or, you know, the A-list, you can do whatever you want. For most mortal actors in the, you know, B to C range, I would consider myself like a C- range. You can change some, but depending on how good the writer is. So if you have an A-list writer, you don't change anything. But if you have a mid-grade or a newer writer and something's not working, yeah, you can change it. And it depends on the situation, it's always different. I did a lot of changing, because I'm a writer. I've optioned screenplays, I love to write. But, you know, the Christmas card, there's a whole scene that I rewrote with Ed Asner and myself in the garage. I rewrote that about, you know, I think one of the reasons I joined the Army was because I felt like I didn't have a family, and I felt like the Army could fill that void somehow. I wrote that. I didn't write the whole script, just that little bit. But there's a lot of that, so yes, you know, depending on whether the director or producers let you or not. Really.
There's another fan favorite show that John was in, and that's the Untouchables. How many of you have seen that series? Anything you'd like to share about that experience, John?
Well, we filmed in Chicago. We did 42 episodes, and I was the Andy Garcia character, so I got to drive all the old cars, which I love to drive, and that was a lot of fun. And we got to just, you know, film in downtown Chicago with full-on submachine guns. It was great. It was like, you know, I mean, Chicago is like who's been to Chicago? There's a lot of old neighborhoods that haven't changed, so we would film in those neighborhoods. Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, it was a blast.
I think we have a special
This is Liam. Liam, what's your question? Here, I'm going to give you the mic.
Favorite thing about Superman?
What's your favorite thing about Superman?
You mean the Brando version of The Father, that movie?
I mean, like Superman, like what he does, what his favorite, like what's the favorite thing he does?
Being able to fly.
Oh.
Because here's the thing about flying. Just the thought of flying, that sounds kind of cool. Who's had a flying dream, like where you were flying? Is that the coolest thing ever? Like to me, if we could actually fly, how cool would that really be? Like we take stuff for granted. You think, oh, flying, that's cool. I mean, I'm a pilot, but to actually be able to like have my body fly around, I don't know. Those kind of dreams that I've had, I wake up feeling like, they feel real, don't they, when you have those dreams? I have them a lot. Do you guys not have them a lot? Some of you do, some of you don't.
I do. I always follow the sidewalk so I don't get lost.
This is Rick in the back. Rick, what's your question?
Hey, John. Welcome to sunny Metropolis.
Yeah.
You mentioned, did you get a chance to meet any of the survivors while you guys were filming?
On the Alive film?
Yes.
I met all the survivors. After we finished filming, I was one of two actors who went to Uruguay. So I went down to South America and I brought a book, the hard copy, and they all signed it. It's the only one in existence apparently, but I'm a little bit of a geek, like with autographs. Right? Can you guys relate to that? Yeah, but I got to meet all of them, and they're very spiritual, like really down to earth guys, and yeah.
That's what I liked about the movie. I think one of the characters said you can feel God in that movie.
You really can.
And if you haven't seen it, watch it. And it's such a great tale of survival. I mean, what else is it?
Yeah. It's a little melodramatic, some bits, but it's a very spiritual story, and it's very symbolically spiritual too, of course.
We're just about ready to wrap things up here. Does anyone have any other questions? We don't want to miss anyone. You do? Come on up. Let me come and get you. Oh, two over here. Hang on. We'll come to you second. What's yours?
Hi, John. My question for you is, what is your fondest memories on the set?
What's my what?
Fondest memory on the set.
That's like, what was your favorite third grade homework assignment? I mean, can you remember? Like, I'm trying to remember. My favorite memory on the set. I mean,
practical jokes.
I remember standing. How many floors was the Peabody Hotel? Do you remember? 25.
I feel like it was a 25, 30. Yeah.
The hotel where he wanted to stay. We filmed there a lot, like he was saying. It's famous because they have these trained ducks that walk into the hotel and go into the fountain. Awesome. Same three people saw all those episodes too. Yeah, anyway, so we did a scene where I'm standing on the top of the Peabody Hotel with my toes over the edge, and the only thing holding me, I'm not harnessed in, is a little 1-inch, like a nylon strap around my waist, and the stunt coordinator's like laying on the ground holding this strap with his hands, and I'm literally, I'm standing on the, like this, I'm standing on the edge of the hotel, 30 stories down, and I'm trying to be like this. And I'm like, I couldn't walk to, have you ever walked to the edge of something where there's no rail? It's just an edge, and I'm going like, and I'm trying to, you know, act like, hey, I can really fly, this isn't a problem. And I'm standing there, and I'm just like, oh, please, and then I have to go like this, and then they cut to me flying down. But just to have that, and then go like that, and then I ran back. I was so, I mean, I have to be honest, that was scary. Because that strap, I mean, I could have slipped right through it. So that was a memorable event.
We have one more question here in the back. Go ahead.
How real is the rescue in The Fugitive when they're talking about the stuff at the bottom of the water, you know, the ship, the boat, and the plane, and all that, and they mentioned in the line Route 37 and 24, or 57 and 24. How real is that, or a coincidence?
You're talking about the film The Fugitive with, what's his name?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
That one, with Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones.
And you're asking me how realistic is it that one could get pinned under the water if you jump from the dam and then well, a lot of people drown at Niagara because of that very reason. They didn't die from the fall, they died from being held under by the current. So that amount of water, the force of that, is about 640 pounds per square inch, and you multiply that by the 36 million gallons per hour flow, and then you come up with about 45 foot-pounds of pressure that you'd have to swim against if you weighed 180 pounds and you had about 12% body fat. It'll give about a 35% chance of survival. Thank you very much. I'll be out there. I just made that up. I just made all that up.
And you say you don't act anymore.
That was not a plan. I don't even know, but that's a great, seriously, that was a great question. I have no idea why you think so. I would know, but I'm honored. But here's the thing, I've seen The Fugitive like 20 times. I love that film. Is that a great movie?
When he runs with the crashing train.
Oh my God. I love that movie.
Well, John, we thank you so much for being here again at the Superman celebration. And fans can still have an opportunity to meet you this weekend.
Yeah, we're having another signing, I think. Did anybody else want to sign? All the signings go to charity. All the money goes 100% to Lollipop Theater Network, which is the charity I've been working with for about 14 years. I was one of the original founding volunteers. We screen current release movies for kids in the hospital with terminal stuff. So it's a great cause. So if anybody wants to sing, does anybody interested in that or no? 1, maybe 3, 5?
Same 3.
So yeah, we'll be over at the
chamber.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, he'll be in the back of the chamber again, folks.
The chamber.
Make sure you go over there.
From the chamber.
Give it up for the great John Newton, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day. Don't forget, we are screening Superman the movie tonight.
4:30 at the Hall of Justice in City Hall. Please join us.
Is it Superman 4? The best one?
Yeah.
Listen, you really want to start a fight now, right?
Richard Pryor will be making an appearance, I heard. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Did he pass away?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. That was not low-class humor. I forgot. I'm sorry. Take the mic from me.
You can say hi real quick to all the Super Friends.
Hey, Super Friends, what up?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look at her doing all her beautiful.